This one is from the Best of Redditor updates and has a few updates with it. So let's dive in. Title of this is, I think my husband is sleeping with the babysitter. We can go ahead and red flag that immediately. I think my husband is sleeping with a babysitter. I'm still trying to process this in my mind while typing this out. Husband and I have been together for 6 years, married for 4. We have 2 children, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Both of us work full time. I'm a realtor and my husband owns his own business. We've had a number of different nannies in the past. Sometimes our parents end up watching the kids. About 8 months ago, my husband told me that one of his friend's daughters, we'll call her Ella, 20 female, was looking for a part-time job during college. We live in a small college town, so her commute wouldn't be far. We tried her out one night and it went smoothly. She's always been so nice to me and the kids love her. My suspicions started last month when I came home early to find my husband had been home. Ella was also at the house babysitting. I asked my husband why he didn't send her home if he was home. His response was, she's just trying to make a little money and that the kids were having fun. Then 2 weeks ago, I drove by my husband's office on the way to a meeting and her car was parked there. I asked my husband later about what Ella was doing at the office. He said that she probably stopped by to see her dad. Now, when I come home, Ella is always dressed up more with makeup done and heels on. 2 days ago, I found strands of blonde hair in the backseat of my husband's truck. I have blonde hair, but this was closer to Ella's shade. Also, I don't think my husband would do anything in the back seat since he's 6'6", 240 pounds. Last night, I found the opportunity to check my husband's phone while he was with the kids. I didn't find any romantic texts between them, but I could definitely tell that the text messages had been deleted. If you read the conversations, it didn't make sense because it was obviously missing the middle part. I talked to my friend this morning and she pointed out that my husband has a type, blonde women. Ella falls perfectly into that category. Should I confront him right now or should I wait to find something more concrete? Before we dive in to updates, let's talk about this for a second here. Your gut is telling you something, right? So the logical next step is to confirm. Is to confirm. You brought up some questions and he had responses ready. He brushed it off. So if you confront him at this point, just assume that he's going to have some kind of excuses to brush off whatever you're bringing up at that point as well. You need some evidence. You need to confirm your gut feeling here before moving forward. It doesn't sound like it's just you being crazy or just seeing things that aren't there because you're finding things. Like there's odd behavior. When there's odd behavior involved and he's just brushing it off, I don't know. He's very nonchalant about all of it right now. Just literally just brushing it off. Where's Jessica Jones when we need her? All right, we're going to do it. Update number 1. Here we go. Nanny is currently at the house right now. Tracked husband using Find My iPhone, and he's also headed home, 30-minute drive. They both think I'll be working until 7 p.m. today. I'm going to walk into the house 15 minutes after my husband gets home unannounced. Not sure what the plan is if I catch them. I unfortunately don't have access to his phone log since his phone plan is through his business. We have cameras on the outside of the house. We have a baby monitor near the kid's bed. I'm not ready to fire her unless I get solid evidence of my husband cheating. I need to know if my husband is having any sort of romantic relationship with her first. That's the update. So yeah, confirming the guts is a big deal. I think that you should have a plan though. Like if you walk in and think that there's a chance of finding them doing something that they shouldn't be doing, which would suck because if this is pre 7 p.m., the kids are there. And if they're doing something with the kids there, like who's watching the kids, there are a lot of complications here. I think you should definitely have a plan for what you at least plan to do if you do catch them doing something. Because if you walk in there with no plan, like just the blind rage is going to take over and things could escalate much further than you would like for them to. Call her dad? Yeah, a lot of this, the creepy vibes starting off whenever he said his friend's daughter was doing this thing. And then she gets these vibes, this gut feeling into it. It's like, man, yeah, his friend is definitely going to have to know. Here we go. Update 2. I wasn't able to get the concrete evidence I was looking for, but some more circumstantial evidence. Update 2. I wasn't able to get the concrete evidence I was looking for, but some more circumstantial evidence. Tracked husband through Find My iPhone. He stopped on his way home at a grocery store for 10 minutes. I decided to park and wait on a side street. That way I could see when my husband would get home. Husband got home at 5:30 p.m. Ella was scheduled to work until 6 p.m. We have a long gravel driveway that leads to our house. I decided to park near the barn so I wouldn't be heard pulling up to the house. Walked in the front door and found Ella feeding my 4-year-old. She was also preparing dinner in the kitchen. Today, she had on a tight top, skirt, and platform heels. I asked if she knew where my husband was, and she replied, he was upstairs taking a shower. She then immediately went over to the living room to pick up her phone and send a text message to someone. Also in the living room were a bouquet of fresh flowers. Could be for her, right? I asked her about the flowers, and she said a guy she's been seeing gave them to her today. Okay, that's where all this goes off the rails, because he stopped at the grocery store for 10 minutes, right? What did he buy? Flowers? She said she didn't want to leave them in the car, so she brought them inside. I asked her about the guy that she was seeing. She said he was from school and wasn't sure if it was going anywhere. I went upstairs to see if my husband left his phone in the bedroom. He left his phone on the dresser. Sure enough, the newest text message was from Ella that read, "Your wife is home." I tried looking up the deleted messages on his phone, but they had been permanently deleted. I decided to wait in our bedroom for my husband to come out of the shower. He comes out and is surprised to see me in the bedroom. Told him my 6:30 showing got canceled. I tried to initiate sex to see how he would react. He said that he didn't feel comfortable doing it while Ella was in the house. At this point, Ella was upstairs in my younger son's room, which shares a wall with our room. Ella leaves the house at 6 p.m. with the flowers. After dinner, my husband mentioned to me about buying Ella a new car. What? Wait, what? After dinner, my husband mentioned to me about buying Ella a new car for Christmas, and his reasoning was that her car was old and not safe for our kids to ride in. I told him that I would think about it. I'm thinking about firing her on Monday without telling my husband and see how they both react. Time out. Why at that point wouldn't you be like, why would we buy her a car? Why wouldn't we just have an additional car and let her drive it? Also, the fact that, just randomly purchasing another vehicle was like part of discussion. It gives you some kind of context to resources available here. But even with the resources to just be like, I think we need to buy her a car. I would think that it would be we have a designated babysitter vehicle. It doesn't matter who the babysitter is. This is the safe vehicle that our kids ride in, not a gift to the babysitter. I'm still trying to process everything going on, still hoping all of this is just me overthinking. I really love my husband, and I can't stand the thought of our beautiful family splitting up. Thanks for all the advice. Comments here. He may not be sleeping with her yet, but it sounds like she's coming on to him. I would tell him that you've grown uncomfortable with her babysitting and you'd like to look for someone else. Be honest with him. He will probably get mad whether he's cheating or not. If he's not, he will be mad that you don't trust him, but hopefully he will agree to a babysitter change. Original OP says, I think that her coming on to him is a really good possibility. I've brought up trying a different nanny, but he always says that the kids love Ella more than us. Relevant comments. Whether he's sleeping with her or not, you're at the point of checking his phone and comparing shades of blonde. To me, that means you either didn't trust him before or are not trusting of him anymore. In any case, your marriage is in trouble, and it's tricky because even if you confront him, he may just end up lying and or gaslighting you since you don't seem to trust him. The problem is going to stay whether he's telling the truth or not. Good point. My question to you is, why aren't you trusting your husband? Because what you're describing would not have led me to go and check the phone. Those were two innocent situations. You blew into considering him cheating. Original OP responded, he cheated on me once before college. We had been dating for 3 months and he promised it would never happen again. This is the first time since then I've ever suspected anything. Comment, the car purchase suggestion to me was the fishiest thing of all. I agree with that. Original OP's response, Ella's family is not a family of means, but she now has a new iPhone, new clothes, jewelry, and shoes. Ah, shit. I didn't put both together until my husband suggested buying her a brand new car. We share a bank account for bills, but we also have separate accounts. Also, I just remembered last week my husband came home with a new jacket. He told me that he liked it, so he bought it. My husband never buys clothes for himself, so he was out shopping. How else would he just randomly see it and like it? Another comment, there's no reason to be coming in heels and all dressed up to babysit 2 toddlers if there wasn't something else going on. Original OP, I 100% agree with this. I do too, because the first thing that I do when I get home and I'm going to play with Navy Thunder is put comfies on, like sweatpants and tennis shoes kind of stuff. No. When she first started, she would come in baggy clothing. Now she comes in dresses or skirts. My husband likes my nails white Ella has white nails now too. Why does he got a thing with white nails? I guess maybe it's a kink. Update 3 days later. Here we go. This is the finale, folks. Are we ready for this? I don't know what it says, but we're going to find out. Update 3 days later. I would like to thank everyone for their support and ideas on how to deal with this situation. Yesterday morning, I met up with Ella and told her that we wouldn't be needing her services anymore due to my little sister being available to watch the kids, which is true. She quietly said that she understood and said to let her know if I would change my mind. Husband called me 5 minutes later, sounding very upset about Ella being fired. I think Ella told him, but he claimed her dad told him that we fired her. I told him that was my financial decision and there was no changing it. He came home 20 minutes later and asked me why I didn't talk to him first about firing her. I told him about everything I've noticed between them, from the text to all the clothing attire she wears. He denied everything. Shocking. And said it was all in my head. Oh, see, now that I feel like was a brozo move on his part. That is the I'm gaslighting you sign. It's all in your head. I told him if you want this marriage not to end in a divorce, he had to cut all contact with Ella. After 1 hour of arguing, he finally agreed to not contact her anymore. I honestly don't have the mental energy to deal with a divorce, split my kids, and date again. I don't want to be the single woman who is always busy and unhappy. I told him to never bring her up again. I don't know 100% if they had an affair, but I think it's better for my health to not find out. I think I'm going to quit my job, raise my kids, and work on my marriage. I'm not sure this was all because I've been working a lot of hours and have been distant from my husband. Thanks again for all the support. One more thing, men, stop messaging me pictures of your private parts on Reddit. Wow. Oh, hey, it sounds like you're having relationship problems. Does this make you feel better? Click. My God. Relevant comments here. Comment. You're going to need to demand open device and tracking. No deleting of messages. No separate accounts. Full transparency. He's just going to go underground. That was my thought too. He's like, I understand why she's doing what she's doing here and basically sweeping it under the rug because the inconvenience it would cause her life is not worth it to her. She's allowed to make that decision for herself. I don't agree with it. I think the self-respect boundary that would be created here is right now, I no longer trust you, and you're going to be under full overwatch until that trust is regained, and it is on you to rebuild that trust if this relationship continues. And that's a big if, and it's all contingent upon the amount of work that you do to rebuild this thing. Because right now, it is headed toward disaster. It is headed toward divorce. If that is not what you want, better get your ass to work. And instead, she said, we're not going to talk about it anymore. I don't think you can really expect things to change except for them to get sneakier. Original OP completely forgot to add that I told his mom. Oh, shit. Please tell us. Wait, no, you got to tell us more about what his mom said, what she did. Come on. Commenter, I'm sorry that you feel you have to stay with him because he is definitely cheating. For your own stability, keep your job at least half-time so that you will have money if you want to leave. I don't believe for a second that he will stay away from her, so you need to build an escape fund and plan. Original OP, thankfully, my grandparents left me a very hefty trust. Husband knows I've never been dependent on him financially. That is definitely helpful. And also, the inconvenience that you perceive will happen if you leave him, OP, kind of goes away, doesn't it? Comment, I would honestly let Ella's dad know. As a parent myself, I'd be horrified if my friend was screwing around with my daughter. Yeah. Your husband is the issue. If there are issues within the marriage, he should have communicated that to you. I'm sorry you're going through this. Please don't blame yourself, as we tend to do that. Original OP, I don't blame Ella for any of this. My husband should be mature enough to not indulge in this. I'm not going to tell her dad anything. I'm sure he'll naturally find out. Tell him! Tell him, because the ass whooping that would be handed down to your husband would create the pain, that would create the change, that would teach the lesson that needs to be learned here. And he's got to know. He's got to, the friend has to know here. Better yet, you don't tell him. You force your husband to tell him. You force your husband to man up here and to go march over to his friend and confess. What shit that he's still denying, but confess the situation that you're in and explain to him why she's not working for you anymore and let him handle the conversation with his daughter and get the real facts out. But you watch this conversation happen. He has to know. He has to know. Or there's another option. You don't tell him outright, but you secretly communicate with hubby's friend, Ella's dad, tell him what you think is going on and ask him to just watch here too. I understand as a dad, like, he's not going to be like, yeah, I'll just be quiet and wait and watch for something to happen. No, he's going to go Donkey Kong on this dude. But it would provide you with further evidence. But it doesn't even sound like that's what she does. This is the problem. She's not telling him because she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. She's at the point where she's swept it under the rug and she's just put the blinders on and she's not dealing with it anymore. If she was committed to driving this into the ground and really making him pay for and change what he's done and his behavior, then she probably would chase that down. But she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And that's the part that I don't get, because she has the financial means to remove any kind of inconvenience other than having a blended family or a split family that would be created here. Oh my God. If I were the friend in this situation and I knew that you knew down the road and didn't tell me, you're on the list too. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.